Huge Tesla and Elon Musk news just leaked. Supposedly, the current president just told his inner circle that Musk will be leaving the White House soon. And so while Tesla stock was actually down 5% earlier today after the deliveries were announced, it is now up significantly. If you like seeing Tesla stock being up so much, make sure to click the like button and subscribe right now. The president is pleased with Musk, but the decision comes as the tech mogul is increasingly looking like a political liability. Keep in mind, this is just a rumor at this point as I'm recording this, although this rumor has driven Tesla stock from being minus 5% to now being up 10% from that very bottom. And according to this report, the president has not only told his inner circle about this, but also members of his cabinet. Also, I'm wondering if Elon's a bad candidate in Wisconsin who just lost, if any of this has anything to do with what the president is supposedly saying that Elon Musk will do in terms of leaving and not returning back to the White House. However, if you listen to that really long Q&A session from Elon Musk where he encouraged people to vote, you will remember that Elon Musk said winning this election would be like pulling multiple rabbits out of a hat. And after the election, he clarified, I expected to lose, but there is value to losing a piece for a positional gain. And I actually would say that Elon Musk didn't really lose here because there's one more important thing that the media largely is not reporting, which Politico is actually reporting, but you have to really go down the article. Following the election, Elon Musk said that the biggest issue, after all, was Wisconsin's question number 1, which added the state's pre-existing voter ID law to its constitution. This was the most important thing, Elon wrote. And the president also admitted that this is a big win for the party and maybe the biggest win of the night. Wisconsin is a swing state, so that was important to do. But Tesla stock investors are certainly celebrating the news that Elon Musk is supposedly going to leave the government and focus on his companies. But is Elon Musk really going to leave? Just a month ago, White House officials and allies were predicting that Musk was here to stay and that Trump would find a way to blow past the 130-day limit of Elon Musk being the special government employee. But according to Politico, Trump's administration insiders and many outside allies have become frustrated with Elon's unpredictability and increasingly view the billionaire as a political liability, a dynamic that was thrown into stark relief Tuesday when a conservative judge who Musk vocally supported lost his bid for a Wisconsin Supreme Court seat by 10 points. But reading further here, it does not seem guaranteed that Elon Musk indeed will leave. One senior administration official said Musk is likely to retain an informal role as an advisor and continue to be an occasional face around the White House. And another cautioned that anyone who thinks Musk is going to disappear entirely from Trump's orbit is fooling themselves. And the transition, the insiders said, is likely to correspond to the end of Musk's time as a special government employee, a special status that temporarily exempts him from some ethics and conflict of interest rules. And that time period is expected to end in late May or early June. So very soon, about 2 months, but also in 2 months, you can do a lot. And the narrative could also change quickly and dramatically. Musk defenders inside the administration believe that the time is right for a transition given their view that there is only so much more that he can cut from government agencies without shaving too close to the bone. But many others say, and it's not specified about Politico who are these many others, he's an unpredictable, unmanageable force who has had issues communicating his plans with cabinet secretaries and through the White House chain of command, led by the chief of staff, frequently sending them into a frenzy with unexpected and off-message comments on X, his social media platform, including sharing unvetted and uncoordinated plans to gut federal agencies. The president, however, already had started easing the glide path starting more than a week before the election, including a March 24th cabinet meeting where he told attendees that Musk would be transitioning out of the administration. Also, when Elon was on Fox recently, he told Brad Baer that he thinks we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within his time frame in the White House before his time expires. And on Monday night, the president also told reporters that at some point, Elon's going to want to go back to his companies, adding that he wants to, I would keep him as long as I could keep him. So public statements are actually pretty positive, even as the results of the Wisconsin race rolled in. The White House spokesperson said that the White House would love to keep Elon around for as long as possible. Looking at what DOGE so far has accomplished, the estimated savings sit at 140 billion. However, not all receipts have been uploaded yet. And just looking at the DOGE website itself, they themselves say that they have receipts that they can share with the public right now, totaling about 30% of all these savings. So is Elon really going to get to $1 trillion saved? That will be interesting to see, because supposedly Elon only has 2 more months left. I think most of the backlash really against Elon is because he's running DOGE. So if that ends in about 2 months, all the protests, all the hatred, or at least most of it largely, should end. So if Elon is actually still involved with the government in some form or role after his special government employee work ends, he shouldn't have nowhere near as much power and influence as he does right now. But I would like to point out that special government employees are limited to working for the government for no more than 130 days out of a 365-day period. So next year, if the relationship between the administration and Elon Musk is still good, Elon Musk could certainly come back, because special government employees can work multiple years. It cannot be more than 130 days out of a 365-day period. And look, we just got an update from the White House press secretary. The scoop is garbage. Elon Musk and President Trump have both publicly stated that Elon will depart from public service as a special government employee when his incredible work at DOGE is complete. So at least publicly, Elon Musk certainly has the support of the administration. There's no doubt about that. And in 2026, we will have midterm elections in November. During that election, all Congress seats will be up for grabs again. So if Elon really wants to stay involved with the government, he could probably talk to the administration and say, well, if I pledge, let's say, a few $1 billion here during the election, I still want to continue helping America with my work. Maybe it wouldn't be DOGE anymore. Maybe he would come up with some other idea, or maybe it could be DOGE, but just another version of it. Unless Elon Musk and Trump have a huge falling out, I think there's certainly a big chance that Elon could still stay in the government, just maybe not very actively after his time is up this time, but next year or a year after that, he could continue. And I will certainly not be surprised if Elon Musk hosts one of these town hall Q&As, giving away $1 million checks to many people. But after today's news, this happening is certainly a lot less likely going forward. And the market is loving it today. Just like how I will love hosting the 2-day event during which I will share everything I know about money. There's a link down below. And certainly, Tesla stock investors are celebrating. Elon Musk is coming back to Tesla. And Farzad agrees here. Elon's time was up around May as a special government employee, but I'm sure the latest events have moved the timeline up. And now we need to talk about Tesla's deliveries. We knew that Q1 Tesla deliveries would be soft, but these numbers, says Dan Ives, were bad. We are not going to look at these numbers with rose-colored glasses. They were a disaster on every metric. Refresh issues, but brand crisis key. The time has come for Musk. Fork in the road moment for Tesla. This was posted before that Politico article came out, which basically leaked that Elon Musk is not going to be at the government supposedly for long. So that's why this has such a dark tone. But then I've continued here. We remain firmly bullish on the long-term Tesla story, but Musk needs to get his act together, or else, unfortunately, darker times are ahead for Tesla. He did not change his Tesla stock price target, by the way. It is still at $550 for the next 12 months. He continues, autonomous remains the biggest transformation to the auto industry in modern day history, and in our view, Tesla will own the autonomous market in the US and globally, with the launch of unsupervised FSD in Austin kicking off the autonomous era at Tesla that we value at $1 trillion alone, and a sum of the parts valuation. Only $1 trillion? That is definitely grossly underestimating the potential that Tesla has. But Musk needs to stop this political firestorm and balance being CEO of Tesla with DOGE. The future is so bright, but this is a full-blown crisis Tesla is navigating now, and is primarily self-inflicted. Well, Dan Ives is getting exactly what he wanted, with that article reporting that Elon Musk should be out of the government soon. Speaking of delivery specifically, Tesla delivered 336,681 vehicles in Q1, but Wall Street was expecting 377,000, and total Q1 production was 362,000. So they produced more vehicles than they delivered. Oh, and check this out. Tesla deployed 10.4 gigawatt hours of energy storage in a quarter, which is up 156% year over year. And Tesla explains here, while the changeover of Model Y lines across all 4 of our factories led to the loss of several weeks of production in Q1, the ramp of the new Model Y continues to go well. Also, the earnings call date has been announced. It will be on Tuesday, April 22nd. Also, if you look at deliveries of all Teslas, which are now Model 3s and Model Ys, the delivery number was almost 13,000, and that's not exactly high, and this includes the Cybertruck as well. However, Tesla China posted a blowout 21,000 insured registrations for the previous week, its highest week of the year. So the new Model Y production ramp at Giga Shanghai has gone extremely well, and the stock yesterday liked it. The new Model Y demand is very high in China, says Gary Black, which is expected at least for now, because there are some pre-orders right now which Tesla simply just needs to fulfill. So as long as this is sustained for multiple weeks going forward, it will definitely be great news, but already this is going in the right direction. Now, there's something really interesting and a bit weird and unusual about the wording that Tesla has about its next earnings call, because it's not really quite called an earnings call. Well, they will do an earnings call. They are saying this right here. But then they also add, in addition to posting first quarter results, Tesla management will hold a live company update and question and answer webcast that day. And look, this language did not exist in the previous report for deliveries. It only talks about posting its financial results, but there's no company update. So that's new. So something big is going to be announced that day. Investors are speculating that maybe they are finally going to tell us about the new affordable models. Sawyer posted this, but this is just taken from the last available earnings report, which says that Tesla is supposed to start production of more affordable vehicle models this quarter. However, based on the latest rumors and leaks, I'm not really quite expecting these new affordable models, if they are released this year, to actually be completely new models as we would normally understand them. The rumors currently suggest that these new models would just be cheaper Model 3s and Model Ys, and a new compact model which would actually look different from a Model 3 and a Model Y, according to the rumors, would come out next year. But if all these rumors were somehow created by Tesla to confuse its customers so that they keep buying the existing Model 3s and Model Ys, this would be some really good work done by Tesla. So I'm looking forward to the next earnings report, and if we do get new affordable vehicles being announced and basically produced this year, which are not cheaper Model 3s and Model Ys, that would be great news, but I'm not really quite expecting that. Now, with the Wall Street consensus being 12.2% too high for the deliveries, which were just announced, I would definitely expect quite a few analysts revising their Tesla stock price targets down. Dan Ives, though, did not do it, so they don't have to do it, but I would expect many of them to do it. And Gary Black is saying that for Tesla stock to go up, Tesla has to enter a new segment with, for example, a Tesla hatchback. And investors are giving Gary Black grief about his statement that the Tesla Austin ride-hailing test market in Q3 will likely be a non-event. However, that is certainly not guaranteed, because think about this. Tesla used FSD V13 in the Cybercab earlier or late last year, before any of us had access to V13. And right now, do you think Tesla is now working on a new FSD version? If this new version that Tesla is working on, which has not been released to the public yet, if the gap between this new version and V13 is just as big as the gap between what we had back then, when the Cybercab event happened, so the gap between V12 and V13, if that gap is also going to be just as big between V13 and this new version, I can see how people could start getting really excited. Gary Black, though, explains his logic. Number one, at least initially, Tesla will put drivers in the cars to ensure there are no mishaps. And number two, Tesla FSD efficacy is still just 99.8%, so one critical disengagement every 500 miles, which is once every 2 weeks. And from my personal experience, well, that sounds about right. We are talking about critical disengagements here. For example, my Tesla on FSD just tried to go through a red light. However, it wasn't actually a mistake really in a sense, because I stopped. It was a red traffic light. And then I was waiting for maybe 30 seconds, and suddenly the car starts going while the traffic light is still red, and I step on the brake pedal, but the car was creeping very slowly. So it wasn't just going quickly through the intersection. No, it just started creeping slowly, but it went a little bit too far, and I stepped on the brake, and about maybe half a second later, the traffic light changed to green. So while I would have probably entered the intersection a little bit more than I would like to have if I did not disengage, it was actually a safe thing to do, because on the other sides of the road, they already had a red light. And with Tesla's cameras all over the vehicle, if there was someone trying to run a red light from the other side, Tesla would have obviously seen that and stopped. Now, for my own personal comfort, there's no way I would want my vehicle to start moving before the light changes from red to green. At least certainly not cross the stop line. So I definitely count that as a critical disengagement for myself. But in terms of safety, it did not do anything that was unsafe. But if I had passengers in my vehicle, and if they were semi-paying attention to the road, I am pretty sure someone would have started screaming if I had girls in my car. But the reason for that largely is, and this is also probably the biggest reason for most of my takeovers, is not that I think the car is actually doing something unsafe or something bad. It just, I know the system is not perfect. So if I start to question the vehicle's decisions, my tendency is to always disengage just to be safe. So if I knew that my vehicle was safer than human driving, and I suddenly start to see my vehicle start moving while the traffic light is still red, I would wait until the absolute last moment I really thought this is not safe, instead of just prematurely disengaging, which is what I did. And sure, Gary Black is criticizing Tesla's FSD. However, if the jump between the current version to the new version, let's call it V14, is just as big as this jump from V12 to V13, and look, this is a pretty sizable jump, even though it has come down here, and this largely happens, in my personal opinion, because a lot more people start using FSD. Just like here, if you have tried V12.5.1, you know it's definitely a lot worse than V13, meaning this data is, you can't compare this data. There's some sort of flaw in the data, because obviously if you tried it yourself, it's definitely worse. But if with this new version we suddenly go from 500 miles to 1,000 or 1,500 miles in terms of critical disengagement rate, I can totally see how the stock would rally if Tesla is also deploying robotaxis in Austin and there's no issues with them. There's one business that Tesla is in that is really exciting me, which is not really showing up on Tesla's earnings yet. We can see it already, and if you really think about it, it's gonna grow big. And with the new Shanghai factory scaling, Tesla's energy deployments are soon going to start increasing even more. So this latest number that we just got, it's actually slightly lower than the previous number, but this new number is actually still the second highest delivery in energy storage. And sometime in the next few quarters, the Shanghai factory will start to seriously ramp, and we will see these numbers jump again. So I'm looking forward to that. The energy storage business actually has better margins right now than Tesla's automotive business. The new Tesla Model Y is launching in all markets pretty much. It is now finally available in the market of South Korea, and prices start at 36,000 USD. In the US, however, for now, I can only order the launch edition, which is relatively expensive, $60,000 before the federal tax credit, possibly indicating in a way that the ramp has not been fully completed in the US yet. However, Sawyer just confirmed that non-launch series Tesla Model Y test drives have officially begun in the US, suggesting that the production ramp is actually going okay, but it has definitely not been completed yet in the US, unlike in China. In China, it seems like they are pretty much ramped up, at least to how many vehicles we were producing before. Oh. Tesla's new car sales in Spain rose 34% in March from the same month in 2024, but it's only 2,000 registrations. So not a big market for Tesla. Now looking at the US, these were only estimates, so we do not have precise numbers for the US market, but supposedly the deliveries were down 11% in March compared to last year. And year to date, we are down 13%, but we didn't have the refreshed Model Y, so that makes sense. We also got deliveries from France and Norway. France didn't look exactly great. Norway, though, only minus 1% versus March last year. And then Italy is interesting. I think March is probably more important than the year-to-date number, because in March, some markets were finally getting the refresh Model Y. And in Italy, Tesla in March is actually up 51% year on year. But overall, Q1 is still down. And this is definitely good news. Elon is doubling down, as I've said previously, and supervised full self-driving Teslas will be carrying passengers in Austin in June and many cities in America by end of year. This will enable passenger cars to increase in utility by roughly half an order of magnitude overnight with a software update. Oh, I like this. Tesla spotted collecting cybercab data with front bumper cameras. This was in Boston. And potentially different cameras too. You can see the setup is slightly different. There's seemingly a front bumper camera as well here. I personally hope that bumper cameras are going to be included for all Model 3s going forward, because for example, if I want to park facing forward, and if there is a sidewalk that sticks up a little bit, if I go too much forward, I'm definitely going to scratch my Tesla. And it's a bit hard, at least for me personally, to really very precisely park like within this distance. So for that reason, if I really need to park as close as possible to the sidewalk, I usually just back in because the clearance is high enough. And on top of that, I do have a camera in the back, making parking so easy. But when I had a Mercedes before, my Tesla, it had a front bumper camera, and I could just park facing forward so easily with a camera. And by the way, the refreshed Model Y already has the front bumper camera, and so does the Cybertruck. It's just the Model 3 doesn't have it yet. And the new Model Y actually has a ton of little improvements that you will never think about when buying a car, but makes a big difference when you're owning it for years. For example, this is exactly why Tesla redesigned the rear bumper like this on the new Model Y. The rear plastic diffuser protrudes out a good amount to help with minor bumps like this. The previous design would have taken way more damage in this scenario. Definitely a good decision. Oh, check this out. If Tesla does in fact launch a driverless taxi service in Austin, even if using remote operators, and even if geofenced to Austin, that would still be incredible progress, and I would be very impressed. Someone is raving about Tesla's FSD here after picking up his new Model Y because it drove flawlessly for 32 minutes from his home to his kid's school. And Elon replied with, "Learning to drive will become like learning to ride a horse. Optional." Oh, the head of New York City's pension fund has called for a shareholder lawsuit against Tesla due to Elon Musk's DOGE leadership. The letter said the value of the pension system's Tesla holdings has dropped by 34% to $831 million from $1.26 billion because of this. But they are also forgetting that, assuming that they held the stock since the president got elected, their holdings increased in value by a lot, so really you're not losing anything. In fact, if you look exactly from the moment the president got elected, the stock is actually up 12.39%. But I think it's actually more fair to start tracking this from Elon's official and full endorsement of the president, which happened around here, July 13th, I think a weekend probably. So it's up how much? 13.8%, almost the same. Now, their argument is that Musk effectively quit his job at Tesla by assuming the role with DOGE. And look what he's saying. In less than 3 months, Tesla stock has lost nearly 40% of its value, with losses over $300 million for the New York City pension systems. We have long expressed concerns that the Tesla board has failed to provide independent oversight or to require that Musk or someone else serve as a full-time CEO. Now it appears that material misstatements from Tesla misled investors about his role at the company. That's why I'm calling on the law department to file securities litigation, because Elon Musk is so distracted that he's driving Tesla off a financial cliff and taking down shareholder value with it. I know this was posted on April Fool's Day, but he's not joking. And this is why I have such a huge problem overall generally with the mainstream media, because we can find countless examples just like this where we can actually quickly double check with just a simple search. It takes seconds to do. The stock is actually up since Elon basically has won the political fight. I think it's extremely unfair to just look at the very, very top here and then say, oh, look how much a stock dropped, while ignoring the fact that the stock is actually up since the president won. All of this upside has been, I believe personally, driven largely because Elon won. So if the stock is largely down due to political reasons, why would we be upset if in the first place it was up largely, mostly due to political reasons? Now, if the stock would be significantly lower, significantly below this level right here, I would say, okay, I can see your point of view. I'm not going with that point of view, but hey, I understand where you're coming from. But right now, when someone makes a statement like that, sorry, I just have no respect for that. If he maybe just waited a little bit longer and if the stock dropped more, okay, at least the optics for him wouldn't be nowhere near as bad. Now he will only have basically largely one side supporting him, which will be liberals. But if you waited a bit more and if Tesla stock somehow dropped further, then you would also have some Tesla stock investors actually not being that against it if they are more short-term investors. And Elon posted this video today of the Tesla Optimus bot, and it's actually, it doesn't walk like it just pooped its pants. It walks more like an actual person would. Like with a cool swagger, sort of. I think it's walking like a bodybuilder that has a bit too much muscle and it's a bit too hard to walk. But more like a human person now with clean pants. And if you guys didn't notice, behind our Optimus bots charging. Oh, look. The tariffs are actually having a real impact here now, and this is, I would say, a somewhat not exactly direct Tesla competitor to the Model Y, but it's certainly a possible alternative for people. At least it used to be, but no more. Mercedes is considering withdrawing its least expensive cars, such as the GLA SUV, from the US because of the tariffs. This is the vehicle. I've driven it once. I like more nimble compact cars, so I did like how it drove. So those who, for example, don't want to get a Model Y but they want to get a Mercedes, this is one of the vehicles they might consider. But that vehicle probably is no longer going to be available, which I said before, the tariffs, they are going to hurt everyone, including Tesla. And Elon Musk himself said on X that the impact of tariffs is not going to be trivial even to Tesla, even though Tesla is the most American-made car company. But while it hurts everyone, it hurts Tesla the least. And therefore, Tesla in the long term, I believe, stands to benefit from these tariffs if all of these tariffs actually go through on a more permanent basis. And about Optimus, Elon just posted the rate of improvement is indeed rapid. There will be a legion of Optimus robots this year. And I personally believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 per share, and then after that, well above it. But there is one investment that I made that did better than Tesla stock. And my younger brothers, who are teenagers, they are asking me how I'm doing numbers like this and what's a better investment than Tesla stock. And the answer is actually very simple. That is investing in myself, upgrading my skills, investing into my education, going to events, networking, making connections, learning as much as possible. So I'm telling them that, for example, not knowing how to make $30,000 a month is costing them basically $30,000 a month, or you can change that to, let's say, $100,000 if you want to make $100,000 a month. Not knowing how to make $100,000 a month is costing you, minus how much you're making right now, let's say you're making $10,000 a month, it's costing you $90,000 every single month. So until you reach your financial goal, my advice to them, and generally to most people, is to invest into yourself as much as possible. That is going to produce a better return than pretty much any stock. Unless you are already happy with your current income, then obviously that's not the case. But I am doing a 2-day event during which I will share everything that I know about money, how to make money, how to earn money, how to increase your income, things like that. I will be teaching my brothers, and everyone else is also welcome to join. There's a link down below. I will see you there, and if not there, then I will see you in the next video, which is probably coming out on Friday. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Matt Posius.